Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Yes, big up, James. Big up, Turkish.
Me saying, bro.
Yeah, good performance tonight. I'm a lot more satisfied compared to the Chelsea game on Saturday. I think the back four defensively were a lot organised, and we nullified Sevilla to a lot of that minimal opportunities when they created their chances. But I'd say Gabriel Jesus for me was unplayable at times. Like Martinelli for me, when there's spacing behind and we're playing away at these big European grounds, he really flourishes the most out of that front three for me. And I'm a bit disappointed with Odegaard's performance tonight. Me personally, I think Arteta needs to look at that. I'd like to see Fabio Vieira or Smith Rowe get a run of games just to freshen and tweaking things up a little bit in that area. But maybe for me, I think Odegaard relies on Partey a lot when we're playing, because Partey frees up Rice and then Odegaard can play in the 10, which he can then literally strut about and create and do stuff for like Jesus and our front line. But overall, I'm quite happy with the performance. Tomiyasu, I thought was like exceptional today, man. You know what? It's funny. From the back end of last season, when Tini wasn't playing any games and Zinchenko was starting most of the games, I think Arteta sat him down and literally made him watch the way our Zinchenko plays. And even when Tini was with us last season, it's like they're all learning that inverted role. At times, I do think it can be a bit overrated, but the inverted role on that left-hand side, when we have our left-back, it's like you can tell that Arteta wants that left-back to join up with the rest of our team and create from that side to open up space for Martinelli. But
Yeah, can I jump on that point? So Jordan Forever Arsenal said this was a game for an inverted fullback. Now he was calling for Zinni to start, but his kind of general point around tactically how we should approach this was spot on, because I felt we were getting constant overloads, and I thought what was so clever was there were moments, part of it was I was just struggling to see the screen. No wonder I had a load of comments saying put my glasses back on, but there were moments where I was going, is that Martinelli, is that Rice, or is that Tomiyasu? Whether it would be in the pockets or it was deep on the touchline to receive the ball, whether it was alongside Jorginho, constant rotations. And if you're Sevilla, that's so difficult to mark because you don't know who to follow. I hate to say it because they're our rivals, but Postecoglou and Tottenham have been doing that really well. Poro and Udogi, they're really good. They don't just invert to tuck in next to the six. They get really high up the pitch, and Tomiyasu's making a lot of like second man runs. There was one point where he pressed, and I thought, is that Tomiyasu? He's like in the striker's second striker position. But when you've got a Rice who's played as a centre back, who's played as a defensive midfielder, who's played as a box to box, he'll happily cover that space. So it was really, really good, and I think he used his athleticism really well, Tommy, to get into all those areas. But also, he's a really intelligent player. Zinni is too, but Zinni hasn't got to the level Tomiyasu did today so far this season.
Tommy's a bit more robust as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
he can handle a bit of physical altercation.
Very, very true.
I think, to be honest, with Declan Rice as well, I was watching him tonight, and I think I'm so glad we signed him, man. What a signing! But I think he's better, and I see him as a long-term number 6 for Partey. But the box to box, I was hearing of what you were saying on it, Turkish. That 8 role and him doing box to box, I agree to a T what you said. I don't think he's creative and technical enough to do that 8 role efficiently, but then I don't think he has what Partey has doing that 6 and protecting the back 4. Partey, for me, we're missing him so much. It's so annoying that we can't get out our strongest 11 right now in most of the games that we've played. And I think when eventually we will see Partey, Rice and Odegaard, but when Partey plays alongside Rice, Partey does certain things on the ball that he can manipulate it better than what Rice does, and then there's certain things that Rice does, like ball recoveries and stuff, like his work rate today. I think on the right, Navas, I think with Sevilla had a moment, I think they had a 20-minute spell between the 55th and the 75th minute where they were constantly going down that right-hand side, and Declan Rice was just basically shadowing and just protecting the back 4, helping out Gabriel when he was going forward, because we were getting caught on transitions a few times tonight. But I think we were so strong tonight that it's like Seville they created a bit without really creating much, if that makes sense.
Like, they had their moments, which I always expected, but we weathered it all really well and we largely limited them.
Just a quick question before you go on to our call. Jesus, do you think that I'm hoping it's not serious hamstring injury, but it didn't look like a normal hamstring pull of what you would see with certain players. Do you not think that's going to be a serious blow?
No. So if I can come in, I think he did feel something, and even when it's a muscle, when it's a bit of pain on the ankle, you can shake that off. You can even play through that. When it's a muscle, you don't mess with it. So my prediction is he's probably fine. If we were playing a Champions League final on the weekend, I always use this kind of analogy. If we were playing a cup final on the weekend, I think he'd find a way to be available. But I think they'll assess and decide. With all due respect to Sheffield United, right? We should be able to beat them. We got Trossard and Nketiah and Havertz to call on. Trossard's the one I want to see. I think and I don't think Jesus was ever going to play the West Ham game next week just because of his injuries in the past. And I think he'll think he's got other options he can call on there, Arteta. So to sum up, probably fine. I think we'll be available for Newcastle next week, but I don't think he'll play the next two. That's my opinion.
When you look at our next fixtures leading up to next international break, Newcastle is the only one we really need him for, or we really should need him for. Aside from that, West Ham, Carabao Cup, I expect rotation anyway. Burnley and Sheffield United at home, I'd expect to beat them without Jesus. So the reality is, as long as he's there for Newcastle, that's all I'm worried about. And if he's not, it's not the end of the world, because we should still win the games around.
We should still have enough quality to beat Newcastle, even without Jesus, even though you want him.
I don't know about that, because they've got such a robust defence. I think we really need Jesus to do what he did today. Take two players out of the game, spin, and create openings. So I respectfully disagree. I think we really need to... Listen, can we beat them without... Yeah, we can, but,
my point on that, though, is that Newcastle struggle... They got Dan Burn, and I can't remember their other centre-back, but they struggle with having a false number 9, and it's like some defenders prefer when you have a target man to hold up and to mark up against, whereas if we play with a front three against Saka, Jesus and Trossard, I know that's in a couple of weeks' time, but I think we can still cause them problems. But I do hear you. I think that's the one game where, for me, I feel we need Jesus in, but I'm hoping he's fit, but because hamstrings normally 10 to 12 days at most, so we just got to see how that goes. But yeah.